Shadowhunters. So episode 6. This is my second time filming this review, so if I switch out and I become old me, it's because I'm doing this again. Last week, I was so excited to come here and talk to you about Shadowhunters. This week, I feel so apathetic toward what I saw yesterday. There was a lot of things, weird decisions. I think overall I'd give the episode a C-, maybe like a 74%. That's really it for the non-spoilery section. I'm gonna go into more spoilery things about the episode if you haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna start with my positives because God forbid, I don't like an episode and I don't point out the positives that are in it. So positives. Okay, there were a few cat lines that I actually really enjoyed in this episode. She has a good one that I really liked where she goes, "I'm an artist. All my adventures are supposed to be two-dimensional. I can't handle this." And I think it came out really well. It felt like something that Show Clary would say. I liked it. Other positives. Simon, surprise, surprise, he even had a really weird scene. Really weird decision. To have him get mad at Jace, but not just get mad at Jace, but ram him up against the wall! I said don't call me a mundane! Whoa, what's happening? We've been stretching out this Simon is turning into a vampire thing for like 50 episodes now. Okay, it's been like 3 episodes, I think, but feels like 50 because he's already practically a vampire. Another weird thing they did in this episode, he comes in with blood on his hand. It looks like his blood. Maybe it's someone else's. It looks like he's bleeding. He picks up his own hand. Anyway, back to this weird turning into a vampire, turns you into the Hulk thing. Vampirism doesn't make it so that when you get angry, you're overpowered with the need to be aggressive. If anything, that's a werewolf thing. Never a vampire thing. Weird. But Alberto Rosendi is fantastic, so he made it work. Made it work for me. I enjoyed Alec coming over and helping Magnus. I don't know how I feel about Magnus in general. He's different. He's very different from the Magnus I love from the books. I feel like he's more of a vulnerable Magnus who is acting confident, but on the inside doesn't feel confident. He's faking it till he makes it. In the book, Magnus feels so strong and so confident to a snarky degree at all times. And I don't feel that from TV Magnus. I like Malik. I like their little moments that they're having. Just feels like a different combination of people than I see in the book. Those are my positives for this episode. Before I go any further, I just want to reiterate, I'm a huge fan of the Shadowhunter book series, and I want this show to succeed. I want this adaptation to be good. But I'm about to share my honest feelings about the episode, and if you don't want to hear anything negative about the episode, then maybe you want to click away. Okay, let's talk about the flashbacks first, because this is what bothered me the most. I was just watching it like, these flashbacks felt like student film quality flashbacks. It felt like if I was making a video to make fun of Shadowhunters and needed to insert visuals. These young versions of the actors feel nothing like the actors that we know. I would have rather had our older actors just maked up to look a little younger than have these all new people. Oh, another thing I did like though, we got a very brief glimpse of the Idris skyline, and I think that looked nice. The whole episode starts with delirious Luke and they're trying to save his life. When an alpha bites someone, there's alpha venom? This whole alpha bite storyline is confusing because Luke has already been bitten. He's already a werewolf. This is weird. But Luke is calling for Jocelyn and he's in this weird dream. And Jocelyn's there and she's talking to him. What is this, like Vampire Academy? Is this like Adrian and how he can dream walk? What's going on? It was a weird choice. I feel like this episode had just a lot of weird choices that just don't mesh well with the world we know and love. Already we've got the weird poisonous for werewolf alpha bite and the dream walking. In this dream walk, both Luke and Jocelyn have circles on their neck. Why can't we see the circles now on them? Why does Hodge's circle still look bright and shiny like we just painted it on? And Jocelyn and Luke have somehow managed to scrape theirs off and hide it. In general, I feel like this episode lost all the really fun levity that we had in the last episode. I remember last week I was talking about how that episode was simpler. We just followed our characters. And I realized another reason why it was so great is because there weren't a million huge information dumps explaining the shadow world. And this episode was full of those. It was just setup after setup for us to receive another information dump. And that's no fun. If they wanted to show us the story of the circle, I really feel like they should have done a full episode in the past. Jace is back in this episode. He comes back and he's scraped up and Magnus goes, "What happened to you, Jace?" "I might have hit a pole with the car when I was stashing it. I don't do mundane driving." This whole mundane driving concept. What's the difference between mundane driving and Shadowhunter driving? There is no difference. Driving is driving. Why do you keep calling it mundane driving? So I could see calling it mundane driving maybe if mundanes are the only people who ever drive. But we've already seen Jace drive a demon motorcycle. And yeah, he drove it into the air. But he still drove it. He still parked it. What is the difference? Another weird choice. We meet Max in this episode. Now we've seen all the Lightwoods. They all have really dark hair. And then we got this kid Max. And he looks nothing like them. Is he a product of an affair? Were you adopted? I think that actor is adorable and super cute. But when I saw him, I was just like, we have Jace and Simon isolated together on a little adventure, and normally in the books I love this. Their back and forth is fabulous, but show Jace isn't funny. I loved everything that Simon said. There are plenty of women who have more than a friend feelings for me. Now, I was editing past me when all of a sudden this new theory of why Dom is playing Jace like this popped into my head. And I feel like it's a really far-fetched theory. Is it possible that he doesn't know that he's not actually Clary's brother? Could that be real? Could he be playing it as if they were brother and sister and they were kind of heading toward a relationship, but then they find out they're brother and sister and he thinks that they're actually brother and sister? It can't be, right? I know he's only read the first book, but he has to know, right? But doesn't it feel like he's acting really brotherly now that you think back? Oh my god, this weird scene with Alec and Mars. At first it was nice. Mars is super upset. I'm assuming right now that she's found out that maybe Robert's cheated on her or something. But then Alec, straight face, stands up seriously and says, "Come on, Mom, whatever it is, we can deal with it. We're Lightwoods. We break noses and we deal with the consequences." Like, that's their new family motto. Like, it's a clever little quip we just came up with. We're Lightwoods. We break noses and we deal with the consequences. We have a scene where Robert Lightwood gives Izzy a cookbook from Idris, and I know this is probably a reference back to episode 2 when she couldn't cook with Simon and Izzy can't cook, but I just didn't like how her dad was giving her a cookbook. Learn to cook better, Izzy. That's what came into my mind, and I was like, oh, how dare you get her a cookbook? Get her a weapon. And then we get to this part where it just all of a sudden we're in Mulan. We have to bring honor to the Lightwood family, and that's all we talk about. Everyone's just like, we need to bring honor to the family. We must restore honor. And Izzy's like, we'll bring honor to the family name. We'll bring honor to us all. You were already in the circle. You were thrown out of Alicante to go run the New York City Institute. You're not honorable. All of a sudden, you've lost your honor because Alec went on a few unsanctioned missions to help Clary, a fellow Shadowhunter. The fuck? You were in the circle with the evilest Shadowhunter we know. I don't know what this obsession with honor is. We never say the word honor. Lightwood is a well-known family name and they want to uphold their reputation, but it's never like, we need honor for our family. What a weird thing to put into Shadowhunters. And all of a sudden it's like Shadowhunters are like kings and queens from different countries that need to marry their children together to form a political alliance. What the fuck is this? Alec is getting married. They're gonna set Alec up with a political marriage to make an alliance. I'm so confused. I don't understand. Must we go down this road? Why? Like, we're in Mulan. Alec must bring honor to the family name. We go to more flashbacks with young, crazed Valentine. The faces that young Valentine kept pulling, I just couldn't take them seriously. When he's about to stab Luke, he's like, no, stop it. And the sped up running. Stop speeding up the running! Just let them Run!
Jace and Simon during their little back and forth. Jace says something like, what does she even see in you? Maybe my compassion? Who needs compassion when you can get by on charm and good looks? What charm? Where is this charm you speak of? At the end of this episode, we get a Clay scene, and I think this Clay scene was much better than a lot of other Clay scenes we've had in the past. Like, not that I think it was fantastic, but it wasn't as cringeworthy as usual. And then we have this weird, I don't know if I missed a line where Jace and Simon made a bet on who Clary would thank for helping her save Luke. She gives Simon a little hug after she thanks Jace, and then Simon puts down a $20 bill for Jace. And at first I was just like, are you giving him money for the errand? Like, did he pay? Did they have a bet on who Clary would be more affectionate towards when they got back? I don't know. It was weird. We have this scene where Luke and Jocelyn are kind of hugging each other in this little garden, and then we see Valentine like 100 feet away looking around a tree, and it's just, oh, it's so cheesy. It hurt. It was just, what were you thinking when you thought that this was going to be taken seriously by anyone? Let's turn Luke into a werewolf by stuffing him in a random warehouse and locking the door. I'm not sure what that was. Werewolves are not rabid animals. They're people. They don't just attack random people you stuff in a warehouse. Did Valentine go in and prep them? Okay, guys, here's a sitch. My best friend, Parabati, kind of in love with my wife, so I'm gonna stuff him in here. If you could kill him, that'd be great. Clary learns that she has a brother, Jonathan Christopher, and she realizes that she can press things into paper. We don't know for sure that she didn't draw a rune in the corner of that paper, but we didn't see her draw a rune in the corner of that paper. So in the show, can she just like press things into paper? And she thinks she knows where the cup is hidden, but we didn't see her take anything out of the paper. TV Clary theoretically doesn't know that she can take things out of paper or how she pushes them into paper. We're just to assume that she's assuming that since she can push shit into paper, she can pull shit out of paper. The whole thing is very unclear. I hope we have a scene in the next episode where she experiments with paper, because that's what we should have had. When she dropped the box in, she should have been like, wait, whoo, and taking it out. So we know stuff goes in and out of paper and Clary can do it. I hope next week, since we had a lot of information dumping this week, we'll just be calm, just get to follow some characters through a story. They show us things instead of telling us things. I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything I talked about or anything that I missed. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Christine. I make videos every Tuesday at @XteenMay on Twitter and @XteenMay on Instagram. I'll see you next time. Bye!